Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It is so good to see you. If this is your first time, I hope it won't be your last. Today I want to tackle a question that is at the forefront of so many people's minds. It is this: is there such a thing as absolute truth? Or is truth just relative? It is something that consumes a lot of people and confuses a lot of people. So I think in order to understand what the subject is about, we need to define what truth is. And so maybe we do that by going to the dictionary. So the dictionary describes truth this way. It says that truth is conformity to fact or reality, a statement proven to be accepted as true. Then on the other hand, we have relativism, which is very popular today and in fact is becoming more and more popular, and sadly even in the church. So relativism says there is no true reality. There are only perceptions and opinions. In other words, there is no such thing as absolute truth. Everything is relative to something else, and as a result there is no actual reality. Everything therefore must be weighed up through the lens of culture, of lifestyle and mentality. And just because X says or believes that something is true does not make it true for Y. After all, Y's experience may be different to X. So as a result, there are no moral absolutes either, because nothing can be right or wrong. It's just relative. And this gives rise to what we might term situational ethics. Right or wrong is relative to a given situation. That's where we are in this world today. And perhaps the term that we would use for this is postmodernism. A great teacher of the word, and somebody who was one of the early pastors when I moved to Cape Town, where I live now, he used to preach so much. It was his favorite subject, the church in the postmodern era. The issue with postmodernism is that nothing can be determined to be either right or wrong, because there is no specific thing that we can measure against. Now, in my view, if everything comes down to how you feel, we are in deep, deep trouble. You see, feelings come and they go. They cannot be trusted. Today I'm feeling positive and everything is going well, and then suddenly, boom, I get one email, I get one call, I see something, I hear something, and boom, suddenly I'm in a tailspin and my whole day goes downhill, and I end the day really depressed. That's when we base it around feelings. And so here's a good test of people who hold to this postmodernism view. Just ask them this question about absolute truth and see what they say. Ask them, are you absolutely sure that there's no such thing as absolute truth? Now, of course, if they say yes, then they've made an absolute statement, which in itself implies the possibility of absolutes. But if they say no, then they are basically agreeing that there could be absolute truth. So you see, it's very difficult to argue against the issue of the possibility of absolute truth. Basically, we got them. So I like to think that I am a logical person. Everything I believe has to make sense to me. How can anyone say there is no God? And many people do, because they have limited knowledge. You see, to be sure that there is no God, that God does not exist, you must know all things. Or am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? In order to know there is no God, you must know everything. So let me say this. Society and conditioning do play a role. Absolutely no doubt. If I get brought up in a world where it is wrong to eat meat because that requires killing a living animal, then to me that is wrong. But to someone who has never held that frame of reference, they're quite fine with eating meat. And even so, Our attitudes or feelings around a subject will change from time to time. So you may start believing one thing and end up believing another. What might be right for you does not mean that it is right for me. So along comes the God of the Bible, and he writes the laws with his own fingers on stone tablets, and he gives them to Moses. And these laws basically govern for the whole of mankind, for the whole of humankind, what is right and wrong for mankind. For example, you might think it's fine to steal. In the country where I live, South Africa, I have seen countless videos of mothers which take their young children, girls or boys of 6, 7, 8 years old. They take them to shopping malls and they teach these children to steal. So while the mothers distract the people at the table, the children are grabbing their bags, or they're grabbing phones or wallets out of their bags, and then they walk off, and they are taught to do this. So they are brought up to believe that they are just doing a good thing because they are stealing from the rich to give to the poor. This does not make stealing right. The 10 Commandments teaches us that in any just society, it is wrong to steal. That is absolute truth. One of the buzzwords that has come along today is tolerance. We all need to be more tolerant. Seriously. We need to be tolerant of people who break the law. You know, honestly, sometimes it works out this way, that the law-abiding citizen gets arrested while the person who just robbed them, broke into their house, held them at knife point, is set free to go and re-offend. I mean, we live in a crazy world. But Jesus comes along and he teaches absolute truth. And in fact, it is a very narrow truth. In fact, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus describes himself as the door to heaven. Absolute truth. There is no open interpretation, which is why the Bible says that the road to God is narrow and there are only a few who find it. Fellow believer, you have no place being tolerant about faith. You see, people who do not believe in absolute truth, they teach that all religions are equal. All roads eventually lead to heaven. And people who embrace this worldview strongly oppose Christians who believe the Bible when Jesus says, I'm the way and the truth, John 14 verse 6. Intolerance in society has been deemed to be the greatest evil. Man, we live in an upside down world in which Jesus predicted it would be so. So let's pose another question there. Is there any evidence of absolute truth? I would suggest 3 possibilities. 1, the human conscience. Something within us tells us that the world we live in should run in a certain way. That some things are wrong and some things are right. And I believe that this is a God-given thing. Our conscience convinces us that there is something wrong with suffering, starvation, rape, pain, evil. And it makes us aware that love and generosity and compassion and peace are positive things for which we should strive. And this is universally true in all cultures, at all times. This speaks about the role of the conscience. If you want to see what the Bible says about the human conscience, go and read Romans 2, verses 14 to 16. Go have a read. Secondly, absolute truth is confirmed through science. Scientific studies are founded on the belief that there are objective realities out there, and these realities can be proven or disproven. You see, without absolutes, what would there be to study? How could one know that the findings of science are real? In fact, the very laws of science are founded on absolute truth. And finally, religion itself attempts to give life meaning and definition. And this goes for all religions. Man wants to understand why he is here. This is what gives life meaning. If there is no truth, then there is no moral code which can never be broken. And therefore we can act and do whatever we want, and there will never be consequences because we've broken no absolute laws. So through religion, humans seek God, and they seek evidence of a higher purpose and of the existence of a purposeful, personal creator who implanted in us the desire to know him. And if there is indeed a creator, then he becomes the standard for absolute truth, and his authority establishes what is truth. And let me leave you with this. If in fact Jesus is right when he says that he is the truth, the only way to know truth is to know Jesus. Do you know him? Have you bowed your knee to him? Well, I certainly hope so. Well, that's it. I hope that you've enjoyed this short talk, and I hope to see you again. May the Lord bless you and make his face shine upon you and give you peace. Hope to see you back again soon. God bless.